with Caleb Farley, what was interesting is this one team told me about him. They love his ability. They love his speed. They don't like his football knowledge.
Oh, he hasn't been studying.
Oh, that'll get you.
Yeah.
That'll get you.
And the questions that were arise was that in these Zoom meetings, they were talking to him about some X's and O's stuff. And they came away with the impression they were surprised at the lack of knowledge that he actually had for the position. The guy told me, he's like, I get it. I watch tape. This guy is a baller. He's got the ability. He's got the athletic ability. He's got the speed. He's got everything you want, the temperament about it. But the X's and O's part of it, he really doesn't have a very good grasp of that.
Okay, the first thing that comes to mind is that conversation we had about Dion. And was it Dave Campo who said, we got Dion in here. We had big plans for talking to him about the scheme. And he was like, no, just point me to the other team's best player. I'll cover him. You handle the rest. To what extent can you do that with other players? Is that a Dion-only situation?
I think there's other guys in the history of the league that could do that. I think that Caleb Farley isn't necessarily that. I think he has the athletic ability to become that, and that's what everybody loves about him. I think if you picked Caleb Farley in the top 10, you're making a very risky pick because he didn't run a ton of man coverage at Virginia Tech, and when he did, it was up and down. When he's at his best is there's a football in the air downfield and he's going to get it and you're like, holy cow, look at the closing speed, look at the burst, look at this athleticism. But in the top 10, you're picking athleticism?
So if a guy isn't blessed to cover and doesn't have a great track record in college, you really need him to have a good understanding of the game. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, and that's where it leads us to when you're talking about guys like Surtain at Alabama. They will tell you that he doesn't run as well, but he could play off and he could play up tight. But they're saying also, listen, he's going to run well enough because he's been training for this 40, so the time is not going to be bad. But if you watch him play, there are some limitations with him and his speed. They clearly say that. Everybody to the Gang of Seven, like, he's the most polished of the guys. He's the one that is, the dad was an all-pro. He's been around it. It's important. Oh, and by the way, with Farley, if I can go back to that one real quick.
Yeah.
Dad's really involved in a negative way there, by the way. That's another thing I learned about him.
Here we go. We're just
kind of a LeVar Ball type of figure.
Well, dad is involved to the point of pulling him here, taking him here, doing this, doing that. Mom passed away from cancer. But Dad is really, really, really involved here, and as far as moving him around and doing things with him. So,
you might hear from Dad in the coaching department?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So keep an eye. If you start hearing whispers about father being involved, you know where you heard it first. Right here.
Okay.
Is where you heard
All right.
it. Okay.
So then which would you prefer to take a risk on, speed or football knowledge, if you're looking to break a tie?
I would... as long as the speed is okay, I would go football knowledge. Now, there is a lack of speed where I'll DQ you from playing corner because there is a baseline that we got to be able to reach. Otherwise, we are in trouble. But that's why Caleb Farley's not my top guy at corner. He's not my number 2 guy either. I think there's a lot that's unproven. I think there's a gamble there on athletic upside. And I'm a little more comfortable with guys that I saw play football this year and that I saw play football really, really well this year. And those guys are out there. And I wonder what that's going to do to teams. Because, like, Micah Parsons, the Penn State linebacker, his tape is of a linebacker who needs to grow in some ways, but he's in there, and he's playing in the box, and he's doing the job. Caleb Farley, he's a lot of zone coverage and off coverage, and, like, there's a lot of NFL corner things that I'm like, man, I would have really liked to have seen how he grew this year.
Yeah. And
you can't. So he's not my top 10.
The thing that you would see about Farley is you would like the measurables, and you like the fact that the tape you saw from 19, he does get his hands on the balls.
For sure.
That's the one thing. That's where it's going to be the difference. Now,
and I think that this team's going to value that.
Well, talking to people about that know what Dan Quinn and Joe Witt and those guys like, we have one corner that doesn't run particularly well. He runs well enough, but they don't play with 2 like that. They'll play with 1. So keep an eye. But also keep an eye on this, and this is the other one. This is now the Jaycee Horn.
Yeah.
Jaycee Horn.
Okay, we transitioned. Okay, reset real quick. We're going over Bryan Broaddus's Gang of Seven and what they say about defensive backs that have been tied to the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Those were good bonus words right there at the end as we transition here to Jaycee Horn.
Jaycee Horn is now keep an eye on him because Dan Quinn and the former coach there, Will Muschamp, are like best friends. So Dan Quinn will know every single thing about Jaycee Horn. And it'll
Can I paint a picture for Gavin in the audience?
Yeah, go ahead.
My guy, Jaycee Horn.
Go ahead.
AKA CB1.
CB2 for me, by the way.
He's a cheater, Gavin. He's a cheater. Because there is no such thing as illegal in college football, there's no such thing as illegal contact by a corner. I mean, there is holding and there is pass interference, but there's no such thing as illegal contact, and he knows that.
Can't call it all.
Yes, and if you did want to call it all, you could throw a flag on him on every play, okay? I'm going to get that out of the way right now because he will grab and nudge and touch
That's Legion of Boom stuff right there.
Yes, so he is a cheater on every single play. But he is also the guy at South Carolina that when you were playing an SEC schedule and you showed up to the field, they said, who's their best guy? And they would say, Jaycee, go. And it didn't matter. You line up on the left, the right, the slot. If it's the tight end, Jaycee Horn's covering that dude. That's his guy.
Dog.
If you watch,
he is a dog. He plays star coverage. He has the athleticism, the tenacity.
In the SEC?
Yeah.
Yes. Now, he cheats on every play. So the only problem I have is I have to project, could he cover these guys this well if he didn't grab them? And he's athletic enough to, so I believe the answer is yes. But my guy Jaycee Horn is a cheater.
Yeah.
He cheats on every play, but he is also a dog, and I love it.
He is not going to give you an inch, and Jeff's right. You could throw, if you want to just watch one tape of him play, watch the Florida game.
Watch the Auburn game. He batted out 5 balls and had 2 picks.
But I'm saying watch the Florida game when he's covering a first-round wide receiver in Tony, and watch him cover Kyle Pitts. That's all you need to see. When you watch him take a short, speedy, quick receiver and cover a big weapon at tight end.
Kyle Pitts hated him. He's like, why are you grabbing me?
Stop. Kyle Pitts wanted nothing to do. He was gum on Kyle Pitts' shoe. He couldn't get him off. That's it. But Jaycee Horn, again, keep an eye. Dan Quinn and Will Muschamp, best friends. This could be a connection here for the Cowboys right there on that.
Alrighty. Is that all on our drafted players then that you'd like to share
with
us, Bryan?
With Surtain, everybody's fallen in love with him because of the family background. They think he's the most pro ready right now to play. And so that's why a lot of people have him. And they're also
so boring.
Yeah,
it's so boring.
He is a boring player.
Hey, what do you like about Surtain?
Yeah.
Well, he's always in the right place. He does the right things. He's a good tackler. He doesn't really have a weakness. He's not a great athlete, but he's a decent athlete. And he's just like everything about him is just like solid. And I don't know, for some reason that's boring to me.
And then what's our takeaway on Horn again?
The takeaway is very positive, but it's positive in a way that the connection between his coach at South Carolina could sway Dan Quinn into taking that type of a player. He'll be able to explain all the ins and outs of the kid and stuff like that. So keep an eye on that possibility right there.
Well, that is a great look into the 3 corners that if you're a draft person and a Cowboys fan, you need to be familiar with as that draft approach is coming up at the end of the month. And Broaddus has also harvested some broadcast gold for you on a free agent defensive back, the safety, Damontae Kazee, and he played with the Falcons last year, right?
Yeah, 4 years, 27 years old, San Diego State. He was a corner. Okay, gang of 7 comments. You ready?
Yeah.
Like him. He was very physical ball hawk his first 3 years. He came into the past year not trying to get hurt. His effort and toughness dropped off. Was really disappointing in that regard. He tears his Achilles, tough to come back from. He's about 180 pounds right now. Good range, above average speed, good instincts, was around the ball over and over on overthrows. He's a playmaker. He was borderline reckless, would throw his body all over the place, hitter, but not a tackler, then all that stopped his contract year. So prior to his
tried to make a business decision.
Yeah, I think
still
so.
Didn't work out.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah. Prior to his injury, he didn't really take care of himself. He just wanted to play ball. I would say that he's probably recovered, and he will be hungry.
Torn Achilles, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one to, project how good he's even going to be and how much of that explosiveness. He was already just 5'11", 174 was his listed weight.
I mean, if he's 174, that Achilles doesn't have to support much, Gavin.
Okay.
Not a lot of weight there.
Hey, that's the brighter side of things.
Here's another thought about him. Really like this guy. Love how he plays. Tough as hell and flies around with urgency, great ball skills, and instinctive. You could play him at free safety. You could play him at nickel. Just wish he was bigger and had a better top-end speed, but a damn good football player. Reminds me of Quandre Diggs is what this guy said. So
why isn't there a big market for him? Why are the Cowboys being linked to them with their $0 in free agency that they're going to spend?
Probably because of the hurt player situation. He's a little bit undersized for the position as well. And
did you say not overly fast as well?
They said that the speed was, let me go back on that, Jeff. I don't want to misquote on that.
Just because I think that would make
above average speed.
Okay, so that's good enough. But not hyper athletic, small, hurt.
Yeah.
That'll get your price down a little bit.
Yeah. My last guy said he got hurt last year, though, as you know. Good player, versatile, free safety to nickel, instinctive, good coverage, good ball skills, small, average tackler.
All righty.
So those are some thoughts from the gang of 7.